Welcome to Techstination. Joining us is Heather DeSantis, the CEO of Publicity for Good. Thanks for joining us, Heather.
Of course, I'm excited to be here.
And usually you're pitching interesting stories, but this time the story is about yourself and your fiance and the way you're living and maybe some messages for people who are coping with COVID-19. Give us the overview, first of all, of what it is that you're doing.
Absolutely. So when my fiance got out of the Navy as an EOD tech in September, we set out to travel the U.S. to all 48 states to work on the road, building a business, and really figure out where we want to live. And where we want to live, we want 100 acres. So really looking at the states and the taxes and the weather, and we really needed to look at each state to figure out really where we wanted to live. So now we are living full-time in a 23-foot Airstream. Now we're not traveling, we're literally in our Airstream 24/7, living and working.
So pretty much 6 months before everybody else, you were pinned in together in the Airstream, working side by side. Now everybody's working from home just about. So tell us what advice you have, what the experience has been like.
Oh my gosh. We've definitely been tested as a couple, but it has allowed us to put more processes in place for better communication. So that means for us, every morning we have coffee talk, and we share where we were uncomfortable the day before and our intentions for the day, and then what's on our agenda for the day, so we have clarity of what the other person is doing and have respect there. When we were traveling full-time in the Airstream, we were in a different city every 2 to 3 days. So we were definitely traveling a lot. And through all of this, it challenged us really to get rid of things we didn't need anymore and live a more minimalistic life. So that means cutting down on clothes, that means cutting down on clutter, and really just being okay with having only a set number of clothing and just, figuring out how to make it work. And for us, literally, we're living on internet boosters, Wi-Fi, and that's pretty much it. A very simple life, but a simple life of two people, 31 and 32, who are really trying to strive to build a great life for our family.
Well, tell me a little bit more about the technology that you're using, because you're running a business essentially from this Airstream while on the road.
My gosh, yes. So finding internet has been the biggest struggle through the whole process, because we have a team of 11 all over the country. Before coronavirus hit, we've had a virtual company, and we're constantly meeting with clients, and we're a PR company. So we're always on the phone, and we always have to be on email. So having good internet has been the biggest struggle. Now for us, some tips is number one, our hotspots on our cell phones have saved us. There's no cost there. But then we've also gotten an LTE booster that will allow us to boost our cell phone service maybe when we're in the mountains or there's not necessarily good connection to a tower. That has helped us significantly. And then also, we each have a different cell phone provider, so that has helped us as well. And it wasn't intentional, but there'll be some cities that I have better service than Austin, my fiance, and that has helped us significantly, because the worst thing ever is when it's Monday morning and you have a team meeting and you have no cell service, or you're traveling on the road in the country and you can't use MapQuest because there's no signal. So having two different servers has really helped us as well.
And dealing with the COVID-19 crisis that we're in now, tell us what that has meant to your travel plans. I would assume it's put the brakes on some of them.
Oh my gosh, it put the brakes on pretty much everything. Before we were traveling every 2 to 3 days, had the freedom and flexibility to travel, experience, hike, go to museums, really explore the history and culture of that city. And now we're not traveling at all. We're full-time in the Airstream, literally here every day. And the freedom that we miss the most is being able to go to coffee shops and work or get out of the Airstream or just experience the town that we're in. We set out on this adventure to find our home. Literally right now, we are considering but looking for land and maybe speeding up the process because we don't know how long coronavirus is going to be. So really weighing the pros and cons. Do we buy a piece of land and just live in the Airstream? And then, or do we just wait it out in the Airstream at a state park that has poor cell phone service, internet, and we can't really leave? So we are considering kind of speeding up the process. And then once we have our land and things aren't as crazy, we can still travel. But we're definitely, trying to figure out what we want to do.
Really interesting. What's been the biggest challenge that you faced connected with the virus? Has it been storing food and toilet paper that in the limited space of an Airstream?
No, it's so interesting. So my mom's in Ohio, and I know Ohio is hit pretty hard, and they have different rules and laws. And my mom works at the high school, and she sees it, very regularly. And that, like, when she goes to the store, they don't have supplies. When we go to Walmart, they have supplies. So, like in North Carolina, that's not the case. It's not necessarily a food issue. It's just being confined to a 23-foot Airstream, working and living, and not being able to have a room to go to for solitude, or not being able to go to a coffee shop, or just a change of scenery. And then, of course, from a business side, we are a company. Some of our clients have not, they're on hold because they can't pay for PR or they're trimming down. So a financial perspective, we lost a lot of money and had to make personal cutbacks and be a lot more frugal than ever and a lot more intentional than ever as well.
What has day-to-day life been like living in an Airstream, coming from just a normal apartment or home that you had before? I mean, we've all watched the TV shows with people moving into these tiny houses.
So my story, and I think our background got us ready for this. I moved from Ohio to San Diego and then had a really tiny shoebox apartment on the beach in San Diego for $1,300 a month. So I was used to having a studio apartment that was small. And then Austin, of course, was in the military, many deployments. So he was used to small places with not a lot of stuff. So I do think it's our previous experiences that really shaped us to be able to do this. Most people we meet on the road are retired, and we think that's awesome. We just feel that with how everything is, how technology is, and with the huge shift we're seeing with the coronavirus, I think people are going to really want to get back to the basics and family and really asking themselves, does it make them happy? And I think if families or people want to do things a little bit differently or go on their road, it's very much accessible. It just really depends on how big is your family. Like, I think it would be hard if we had kids, we would need to have a bigger Airstream. We could have a dog, but it's just not ideal because there's dog hair and other complications that come with it. It'd be fun, but it's just other things to think about.
So are you looking forward to getting back on the road again? I guess you don't know how long this is all going to be.
Gosh, I am excited to really immerse myself probably more than ever in the lifestyle we created, because it's so fun to be able to live in an Airstream or RV and work. But then the other thing that comes into play is you feel guilty going on that adventure. You always feel guilty. So I think now I have more excitement and appreciation to experience those adventures. So that's my thoughts on that.
Very cool. For more information about your company and to reach out to you, where should people go?
You can go to Publicity for Good, or you can just find me on social media at Heather DeSantis, and we share everything behind the scenes. something I didn't tell you that we experienced was a tornado in the Airstream in Alabama. The other day, we're on the river. It rained all day on Easter and flash floods almost all the way up to the Airstream. So to every good side, there's a bad side, there's stress. So we share it all.
Well, you're still here, so obviously you had a happy ending to that. Again, the website is publicityforgood.com. Heather DeSantis, good luck, and thanks for taking the time with us.
Thank you so much.
Now this. How many companies out there have continued to innovate when it comes to building a better radio? I'm Fred Fishkin, host of Techstination, and I'm here to tell you about the new CC Skywave SSB radio from the wonderful people at C. Crane. Bob and his crew really love radio, and it shows in this new compact model that is packed with features. Beyond great AM and FM reception and sound, you can tune into shortwave signals from around the world, listen to ham radio operators, aviation, and more. It's the radio you'll turn to every day, and in emergencies. It will run for nearly 3 days on just 2 AA batteries. Pair the sleep timer with the new Soft Speaker 3, and you've got the perfect radio for your nightstand. Of course, it can wake you up too. Click on C. Crane at Techstination.com and put in the code Techstination for a free flashlight with your order. They love radio, and you'll love C. Crane.